The king of the seas, lord of the oceans, son of Kronos, the all-encompassing one, Poseidon. Among the Olympians, he carries the respect due an elder brother, the respect bestowed upon one who truly only answers to one other in the entire pantheon, that being his brother Zeus, who looms over him like a specter, though one that is without equal in their mythology. Regardless of this, how strong is Poseidon? Where to even begin with the king of the sea? He is among perhaps the most well-known gods of antiquity, and being a son of Kronos, who overthrew Uranus, his strength is equally massive, is it not? Well, what better place to start than with one of his more popular epithets? For those of you unaware, an epithet is an additional name denoting some nature of a deity or divine being and its portfolio. The specific epithet I speak of is Enos Ichthon, or Earth Shaker. This ties into pre-Homeric Greek belief, where Poseidon was an underworld or chthonic deity, and carried on to the current day with his control over earthquakes and everything post-Homeric. As stated, a long time ago now in the video about Atlas, Earthshaker could just denote the ability to make earthquakes. Even a moderately powerful earthquake of magnitude 5, which can deal severe damage to buildings, is the result of a release of energy rapidly approaching 500 tons of TNT, or 2.09 times 10 to the 11 joules of energy, all spread over a wide area nonetheless, setting a very, very low end for Poseidon's strength being in the range of destroying buildings, if not multiple buildings. Of course, for the Lord of the Seas, this is vastly understated. While engaging in the Gigantomachia, or the war against the giants, Poseidon was fighting a giant named Polybotes. Poseidon ripped a chunk of an island away and threw it at the giant, putting him down in one fell swoop. At a low end, and basing things off the giant Odysseus saw whilst visiting Hades in his own journey, a giant capable of covering 9 acres as it laid down, this feat would be city block level, just from the size of land having to be thrown. It should scale far, far higher though, seeing with the ease and the fact it's described as being an island. Not a kingdom, not a building, but an island being thrown. Probably scaling closer to those mountain ranges of attack potency. And that mountain-shaping level of potency has pretty strong backing. You see, when Poseidon and Athena attempted to garner favor over who would become the patron of Athens, Poseidon decided to do what he did best and shape the earth. To impress the king and to claim the city, he struck the Acropolis's mount and split it, summoning forth a great sea. Even lowballing this feat, it would require multiple city blocks to town levels of attack potency, and into those cities to low mountain levels with the logical end of things. Just an FYI, my goat, Athena, grew an olive tree, a sign of civilization, something she's quite keen with, and Poseidon's saltwater spring of sea proved unfortunate, and Athena beat him. But that's not important. We're talking about Poseidon's power, not his privilege, shall we say. And of course, the third tiering of this mountain shaping, mountain level to island level scaling at the most, is the max end interpretation of earth shaking, which is a theoretical magnitude 10, which will release 56 gigatons of TNT worth of energy, 2.3 times 10 to the 19 joules, or nearly 2 times the required energy to destroy an island with a 9-kilometer radius, well into the island levels and backing his island level power, and fortifying the mountain level scaling we've seen thus far, setting a new low end. And accordingly, since his footsteps can cause these earthquakes, it's more than safe to give island level scaling as a baseline if you're being generous, as shown by how the earth moved when he took steps towards the sea to aid the Greeks in the Trojan War. Then there is the highball, which may still be within reason for Poseidon's baseline, and that is that during the Titanomachy, the war in which the Olympians claimed their position at the top of the divine hierarchy, the thunder of the immortal gods, the Hecatonchires and the Titans as they clashed, caused the earth to crash and shatter, and the heavens themselves to shake, in other words, affecting the entire planet to a variable degree. This shaking of the entire planet to the point of it crashing can feasibly be put into those country-to-continent levels of attack potency, and furthered by the fact a magnitude 10 earthquake would affect a vast swath of the world from Poseidon alone, this would grant a highball to Continental Plus for Poseidon. and very wanked Poseidon being wanked even further to multi-continental to planetary. I do not ascribe to that. This, of course, would also feed into the fact Poseidon is vastly weaker than Zeus, whose lightning bolts threaten the entire Greek cosmos, and outscaled the Titans, the Hecatoncheires, and his fellow gods, the same boat that also felled the Pantheon-busting Typhon, whom the other gods had to flee from. There isn't much more to say than that for his durability, since he's often seen going against foes that are on par with his levels of attack potency, from the Titans, whom he rattled the planet with, to the giants that he had to best by bashing them with islands, and so forth and so on. So at every tier of his power, Poseidon had to take as much as he could give, though it should be noted he did not tank Zeus's cosmos-rattling lightning bolts that led to the end of the Titanomachy, as only the Titans were smote by that. With that out of the way, Poseidon, at the very lowest, scales to building level, and at a mid-ball those island to mountain, maybe up to country levels of power, though logically higher than that, and at the high end, continental to multi-continental levels of power. And definitely to that level, taking into account the full manipulation of the Earth's oceans, which he can do, as it is all-encompassing, and the Earth's surface is notably a lot of ocean. Now, to my least favorite part of these videos, speed. We don't get many speed feats from legends, unfortunately. So there is even more extrapolation here than with any other feat. Thankfully, we do get a speed estimate that comes from Poseidon rushing to the aids of the Greeks in the Trojan War, where he ventures from the topmost point of Samothrace, an island in the Aegean Sea, to its very depths where his castle resides, in just 4 steps, which we assume is at the deepest point, near the Isle of Crete, which is nearly 12,000 feet below the ocean's surface. This distance is around 365 miles, given the depth that had to be traveled. Poseidon doing this in 4 steps would mean he can cover 90 miles in the time it takes to take a step, which we can say is 1 second, even though it should be less. He would be traveling 324,000 miles per hour in this case, or Mach 422. That is massively hypersonic, and done in a sprint, so at base we can say he fits those massively hypersonic speeds. And unfortunately, that is also where we have to draw the limit of Poseidon's speed, without having the argument that the only member of the Olympians that he really answers to is Zeus, and the Olympians include Apollo, who is sometimes the god of the sun and light, and thus granting light speed or beyond light speed, which, if you want to, sure, Poseidon is light speed, if not faster. But the only concrete scaling I could get for Poseidon is that massively hypersonic speed of Mach 422, like Heracles did, so I can't really grant him that light or faster than light speed that I granted to Heracles. Regardless, you could also say he's a lightning timer, but Zeus didn't strike at him with the lightning, he struck at the Titans. If his continental ravaging strength and the hypersonic speed was not enough to acknowledge, Poseidon comes with a kit that is as deep as the seas which he commands. Atop the aforementioned sea summoning, Poseidon can petrify objects, grant shape-changing, change shape himself, fly arguably as fast and as maneuverably as he can run, cause blindness, grant a full reinvigoration of a heavily fatigued body, up to and including himself, all of that on top of being immortal. Immortal in what regard? The regard that he, like his fellow Olympians, cannot be slain. They can be injured, sure, if you have the attack potency to do so, but not outright killed. Note, immortality doesn't really stop Poseidon. You see, as when he beats a foe that is immortal, he can merely build the walls to restrain them. Such forces that match his power, including the Titans, were bound by these walls, all of which made by Poseidon's own design. So be it mountain, island, or continent breaking. And blasting through the air or sea at Mach fuck, there is little that can be done to halt to the Lord of the all-encircling, the Earth Shaker. The brother of Zeus only answers to one, and you are not him. Pay respect to the sea, or be that which rests at its bottom. So says Poseidon. As always, thanks for watching, stay hydrated, and be good people.